It's another game, but overall, I don't necessarily know if it's gonna be my last game. No, it depends on how we perform as a squad and how I perform as an individual. Where it goes from there, I'm not sure. Hello, I'm Tremmell Darden, and welcome to my legend. I was born in Inglewood. We lived in Inglewood till I was probably 5, first grade. And then, Inglewood at the time where I stayed, it wasn't the nicest of neighborhoods. I was a little kid, you just playing around, running around, having fun as a little kid. And then we moved to San Bernardino, California, playing all sports. Growing up, had my cousins. On my mother's side, it was 5 of us. On my father's side, it was 5 of us. So total, I have a big family on both sides of the family. Things started to change too in San Bernardino, so we moved to Las Vegas where my grandmother lived out there, my aunt lived out there. So we moved out there, and from there since '95, I always tell people I'm from Vegas. I lived with my grandmother. When we first went out there, I lived with my grandmother. She was real disciplined from the old school. Southern woman from Texas, 16, 17 maybe. I moved out the house. And it was probably the hardest decision I ever made at the time because I didn't want to leave my siblings. But I made the decision because basketball, at the time I was 13, by the time I moved to Vegas in '95, I knew I wanted to be a professional basketball player. For us, that's the NBA. All while not knowing that being a pro goes further than just being an NBA. So at 16, interesting enough, my aunt and my grandmother took me on a trip to Europe. So we went to Zurich, Italy, Amsterdam, and Paris. And this was actually during the World Cup. This was the '98 World Cup in Paris. So it was live, popping in Paris. And I'm seeing this like at the time, I didn't really understand the significance of her bringing me over here to experience culture outside the United States. Had a great senior season though. I had a great high school basketball coach who really believed in me, actually more than I believed in myself, and knew what gift I had at the time the God gave me. After I got my scholarship, my granny understood why I did what I did and what I was all about. When I was a sophomore, I started to believe I could be a pro. At what level, still thinking the NBA, but knowing maybe I could be good enough to go overseas. I was in Turkey, had a big year in as opposed to European standards. Like I didn't know what averaging 14 and 8 as a rookie was. I'm thinking, well, in college I averaged 18, I should be able to at least do that. And not understanding that the game is different, the style of play is different, the minutes and the role you play is different. And to be able to put those type of numbers up, thinking about that now, it's like, wow, that was amazing as a rookie in Turkey. And then there's just been extremely high moments. When I was in Australia, it was really difficult. I think my faith started to grow the most there because it was so difficult. But in the end, we ended up winning the final, and I end up having 31 points in game 5 of the finals, and I scored 21 in the third quarter, which it blew the game open, and we ended up winning it. I didn't even play the last 10 minutes of the game, so it could have been a 40 ball, but I learned so much, grew so much, and it was such a amazing feeling to win that championship and contribute in that fashion that's always going to probably be one of my greatest memories. Another huge, memory was playing in Nancy, because Nancy was the year that kind of catapulted me into EuroLeague, and we won the championship that year, and nobody expected us to win the championship. We weren't the favorites. I never had a legitimate shot to make it to the NBA. But when I did, I was at the peak of where I had hoped to get to. So now it's like, well, I'm playing where I'm at the top right now. I'm playing for Real Madrid. I'm just as good as anybody in the NBA, if not better. And the team that I played on, the Real, is very good. Extreme talent, Olympians. You know, it's a great process because you go from coming over here and wanting to establish yourself to go from that climb to be a star. You have to be wise enough to understand that now that I've gotten here, what do I need to do to help the team win? But to have longevity, you have to be able to adjust your game to whatever's needed and whatever situation is needed. So every team I played for, I try to establish myself as being the hardest worker on the team. When I was younger, you know, after a game, you're hungry, so you go to McDonald's. As I got older now, I try to eat more vegetables, more fruit. I used to be a candy junkie. I don't think people really understand how mentally tough you have to be to succeed in European basketball, right? Especially if you have a family and you're away from your family, that's one thing. But when you're at the highest elite level, when you're playing for the Real Madrids, there's expectations, and the expectation is to win. But you could be in the flip side in a situation like we're in right now, where we're in a playoff type situation too, right? Win or we in, lose you're not. The NBA is a build up to one crescendo, right? To one final championship, one champion. Well, over here, we trying to compete. Some teams like Real, Barca, you compete for 4. Super Cup, Copa del Rey, EuroLeague, ACB. And each one has a different significance, but it's a high, you go on high highs, and then boom, you right back to it. You could win EuroLeague, and then 2 days later, you have another game. It's not like in the NBA where you win a championship, you celebrate, and then boom, you're done. No, we don't have that luxury over here. Coming back from the Achilles injury, because most people probably thought I was done. And God told me before I had surgery I wasn't finished. Now, did I know I was gonna play 6 more years after, 5 more years after? No. I just knew that wasn't gonna retire me, and that was my goal, not to let the Achilles injury retire me. At least come back, play 1 more season. Achilles actually prolonged my career because it made me think the game differently. It made me see the game differently. It made me understand my body better. And here I am today, you know, 6 years later, still able to play and compete at a high level. I got this one just to see if tattoos hurt. I was 18 and I said, okay, let me get a little tattoo and see how they feel and see if I want to get another one. When I went to school, I got this one right here, just, you know, the king of basketball king. And then the one on my back was kind of like, you know, you can't trust everybody, right? So I said, you know, God is always gonna be watching my back. So when I went home though that summer, and I showed my grandmother, she wasn't the biggest fan of tattoos. So after I got this one, I promised her I wouldn't get any more. The year my grandmother ended up passing and transitioning, my wife wanted us to get our names on our hand, on our ring finger, and she was gonna ask my grandmother if I can go get a tattoo for that because she knew the promise I made to her. And you know, she passed before she got a chance to ask. So, and I kept my promise. I said I wasn't gonna get any more, and I never had. I've been with the organization, I want to say 15 years now.
Yeah, that's it, 15 years.
And they've always treated me with the proper respect and love, on both sides. Coach Andrew By and with everybody in the office in Spain, they've always treated me with the love and respect and appreciation. So when I was in Spain, Guillermo was there. You know what I'm saying? When every country I've been in, whoever that particular person was for that, they've always shown me love. I love the way that the business has always been handled for me, with you first. I have no complaints. My wife has no complaints. Me and her are on one accord. You know, I've even helped guys come to the team. You know, I've had ex-teammates that I've talked to and on the behalf of the organization, and they've ended up joining the agency. So I love it. The fact that you guys are here now, filming me and putting me in this documentary is a testament to the love and respect that y'all have for me and appreciation. One of the greatest feats to me is being an American for 19 years over here. When I say that, I have no passport. Americans that make it to this stage have a passport from some country. That's normally how it happens, right? So that's one of the most incredible feats to me of all. Work hard, young fella, and a lot of the things that you hope for will happen. And things that you didn't know, when you get knocked down, learn, grow, and continue to work.